circuit better known around the world for hosting the Italian Formula One Grand Prix, also has a long and very, very rich history in sports, GT and touring car racing. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this, the penultimate round of the 2021 GTOpen International Series, the championship here at, of course, Monza. This is round 6 of 7 of 2021, just a fortnight after we raced at the fabulous Red Bull Ring here in Austria. We are here in the north of Italy, not too far away in a straight line, for the penultimate round of the series, the GTOpen International Championship. And as you can see on your screen, we are delighted to be joined once again by the GT Cup cars as well this weekend. We had qualifying this morning. We'll go through the grid for you in a few moments' time. An expanded grid, more cars, more drivers with us here this weekend. The best presented cars here this weekend as well. The two boys from Brazil, Fernando Fortes and Marcio Mauro, in the Porsche Cup M Cup cars for Team 360 Racing. So the cars are on their outlap at the moment. I'll come round and stop on the grid at the end of this lap. This is the first of 2 races here this weekend. It is a 70 lap, well, technically it's an endurance race, but it is basically a 1 hour and 10 minute sprint on what will be a dry circuit. Tomorrow may well be a different story. We have got heavy forecast thunderstorms for 24 hours time as we look at the championship leader of Michele Beretta, the 63 Vincenzo Sospiri Lamborghini, exiting pit lane and now exiting the first chicane. The VSR team have been bolstered by a third entry here this weekend. Vincenzo Sospiri Racing, of course, with Michele Beretta, Frederick Schandorf. They lead the championship. Baptiste Moulin and Yuki Nomoto. And a third car, that's car number 16, being driven by 2 former GTOpen International champions, the 2 Italians, Federico Leo and Giacomo Altoe, who won the championship, the GTOpen International Championship in 2012 and 2019, respectively. The fastest qualifier in the Cup class is on your screen at the moment, car 54, Jan Lauritsen from Belgium, who actually was quite impressive in putting that car into 17th on the grid outright. Immaculately prepared. Car 54 being driven by Jan, for Q1 by EMG Motorsport, who are also here with Nicolas van Dierendonck and Dirk Shelton, the Belgian and Netherlands drivers respectively. That was a glimpse of the Kiwi Brendan Leach, who has qualified at 5th in his GTOpen International Championship debut for Leipzig Motorsport. The New Zealander from way down at the bottom of the world, from the town so close to the South Pole, I kid you not, icebergs do occasionally float by. He is from Invercargill in the very south of the South Island of New Zealand. He was actually on provisional pole position for much of qualifying this morning, as we get a glimpse of Andy Soucek, who's second in the series for the 77 Lechner Racer Porsche team. 2Cs Motorsport with Martin Kodrick. They will start on the second row of the grid in car 9, along with the Canadian Ethan Simeone. This is the championship leader. This is the pole sitter who lives not too far away here in Monza, Michele Beretta, sharing the car with the Dane, Frederick Schandorf. We did take the opportunity to speak to these drivers after qualifying, and we'll enlighten you with what their expected tactics are as we get underway in this 1 hour and 10 minute race. Martin Kodrick, the Croatian, feeds his way through the grid, an expanded grid. Great to see for the penultimate round of the championship. And parks the 2Cs Motorsport Mercedes GT3 AMG on grid 4. We say welcome back to the Kessel Racing team as well. Great to have them back on the grid. With Axel Jeffries, the Zimbabwean, who won the Dubai 24-hour race to start 2021. And as ever, the Inception Racing and Optimum McLaren Motorsport cars. Ollie Milroy, car 7, starting out of grid 7. As we take a look at the grid for you, there's Frederick to the right of your screen. Michele is in the car Looking good for the championship. Technically, they cannot put it out of sight here this weekend, but they can put one hand on the 2021 championship trophy. This was a stunning performance from Marco Bononomi, the Italian, another driver who lives so close to the Monza circuit he could walk to the track. Was only a 1/10 of a second off pole position in the NSX Honda, the three-strong NSX Honda team this weekend. From Chile and South America, Benahites in the 333 Ferrari. For Rinaldi Racing, sharing that car with Fabrizio Crestani. This is the Croatian Martin Kodrick, 2Cs Motorsport, out of grid 4. Car 9 with the Canadian Ethan Simeone. You can see the Croatian and Canadian flags on the top of the car. Leipert Motorsport with the Kiwi Brandon Leach, a stunning performance in qualifying for the Kiwi, just 6 days after racing in the ADAC series at Hockenheim. And second in the championship, he still can win the 2021 championship, but will need everything to go his way. The Spanish-Austrian Andy Soucek gives us a wave, and he starts alongside, or in fact 1 row ahead, of Ollie Milroy for Inception Racing in car 7. Sharing this car with the American Brendan Irib. Federico Leo, welcome back to GTOpen International for the 2012 champion. Giacomo Altoe just standing out of the car. And then we go to Michael Dyden, the American for Kessel Racing in car 25, out of grid 9. And Jan Seifert, who puts the 17 Lamborghini for HP Racing, Harold Prochik International Racing, on grid 10.
Machst du da nochmal Spiegelcheck?
Ja, können wir machen.
Sharing the car with the Austrian Gerhard Tuareza. Baptiste Moulin from Belgium sharing the car with Yuki Namoto, the third Vincenzo Sospiri Racing Lamborghini. And then Nick Moss, car 72, the second McLaren on the grid here. Nick Moss and Joe Osborne. Nick to start the race. And then we go to the second Honda. Renault Racing have tripled in size this weekend, joined by the Nova Race team, Jens Renault Moller from Denmark to start car 11 before handing over to the Norwegian Marcus Pavarud as we look at the grid, which stretches all the way back to the 13th row. Here at Monza, so there is the Honda to the right of your screen of Marco Bononomi, car 18. The Honda team with JAS Motorsport and Renault Race representing the Japanese manufacturer here this weekend. 2 weeks ago, we raced at the Red Bull Ring in Austria. On Saturday, we started in dry conditions. Gerhard Tuareza and Jan Seifert gave us great pictures on board the 17 Lamborghini. Frederick Schandorf having a fantastic battle with Nick Moss. Andy Soucek and Al-Faisal Al-Zubair, they went into pit lane and they never returned. In the dying stages of the race, it rained heavily and most of the field were caught out on Michelin slick tyres. The race was red flagged, and at the end of the 39th lap, the results were declared. Another victory for Beretta and Schandorf. It dawned fine on Sunday as the TF Sport team in the Aston Martin, they were in great form throughout all the week. Al-Faisal Al-Zubair and Andy Soucek. But the TF Sport team, they were the class of the field and would go on to take victory in race 2 at Austria. Sam DeHaan and Charlie Eastwood, of course, taking victory for the British supercar team. The points championship looks like this. Schandorf and Michele Beretta almost have one hand on the trophy. Andy Soucek, he's third on 90 points from Baptiste Moulin and Yuki Namoto, who are both on 81 points. Race 1, the penultimate round of the GTOpen International Championship. under, dare I say, threatening skies once again here at Monza. Michele Beretta leads the field around alongside Marco Bononomi. We had a red flag, 3 minutes, 14 seconds from the end of qualifying this morning. Beretta pulled into pit lane, helmet off. He was satisfied with his lap of 146.925, the only driver to go under 147. Marco Bononomi went back out, almost took pole position, just a tenth of a second off. 47 dead for the Italian in the 18 NSX. So the cars are out on the circuit for the moment. The track is dry. We are expecting heavy thunderstorms and rain tomorrow for race 2, that is. Luca Magnoni, car 57, who starts out at grid 15. So the field behind the safety car at the moment for the penultimate round of the 2021 championship. There's the GT Cup cars from Brazil in the background. Fernando Fortes in 32 and Mauro Marcio in 27. Down through the Ascari chicane, we are expecting a green at the end of this lap. There is the third VSR car, Vincenzo Sospiri Racing, car 16, Federico Leo, who is on the outside of the fourth row of the grid. It's quite a warm afternoon. The track temperature around about 25, 26 degrees, and the ambient air temperature just a few less than that. On board with Martin Kodrick, who starts out of grid 4. This is Vincenzo Sospiri Racing. A fantastic sight as some of the most desirable, some of the most spectacular supercars in the world line up on the grid for the fourth last race of the 2021 championship. Beretta on pole position, Bononomi on the outside of the front row of the grid. Race 1 of 2 here this weekend, the penultimate round of the International GTOpen Championship, with the championship leader Michele Beretta on pole position. The safety car pulls into pit lane. The 5 red lights, we wait for them to go out as the field come up to the line. Here at Monza, for the first of 2 times this weekend, we race. Bononomi with a great start from the outside of the front row of the grid as the field thundered down into turn 1. Lights on here at Monza. Beretta immediately down the inside of the circuit, Bononomi around the outside, and a super start from the Ferrari. Inevitably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cars go straight ahead. Controversially, Beretta does still hold the lead after cutting the first chicane. There's Bononomi in second place, all over the back of his countryman. Missed out on pole position this morning, but he's looking to take the race lead imminently here as they race up into the second chicane. There's Brandon Leach, the Kiwi, dives down the inside and almost makes contact. There were 2 Italian supercars, the Ferrari of Ben Yahites and the Lamborghini of Brandon Leach, up the inside. The Kiwi trying to take the Chilean, but for the moment, Benya holds off Brandon Leach. So a clean start, relatively speaking, here for race 1 at Monza. As Brandon Leach goes very wide in the background, Michele Beretta with the lead as they race down by Saraglio. We look at Martin Kodrick, who did not get the best start, but he sits in right behind Ben Yahites in the 333 Ferrari and Brandon Leach in the 10 Leipert Motorsport Lamborghini. What a move by the Croatian. Martin Kodrick has gone by intake of the both of them. Ollie Milroy also in car 7 has kept the nose of the McLaren clean, and he's gone through into 6th place. You ride on board with the South American Ben Yahites for Rinaldi Motorsport down the back straight for the first time. Kodrick goes through. Hites behind him is Milroy, who has got by Brendan Leach. As they exit the Alboreto Parabolica, there goes the second, the third. Vincenzo Sospiri Racing Lamborghinis, Baptiste Moulin in P7 and Leo behind in P9. So the order is Beretta, Bononomi, Kodrick up into 3rd place. There's Ben Yahites, Ollie Milroy behind in P5. So they go down into the chicane. Leach, who was looking to go through into 4th place. The Kiwi goes straight ahead. locks up, and we've got contact between the second VSR Lamborghini and the McLaren of Ollie Milroy. Wow, a sensation. At the end of the first lap, we had a clean start, but look at the door, the bodywork of the McLaren. That does not look healthy. And immediately the Inception Racing team prepare for Milroy to dive down into pit lane. This is one of the Cup cars down in pit lane. This is the Metco as the team go to work. So we had a clean start, but the second lap, all hell broke loose. Ollie Milroy trying to limp back to pit lane. He has not lifted. He's still virtually at race pace. GTOpen International Championship, the penultimate round of the series. This is race 1 of 2 here this afternoon. We are underway. We had a clean start, and then all hell break loose. Ida Wood joins myself, Ian Sylvester, here in commentary. Ida, it was a good start, but not so good for Ollie Milroy now, who will have to pit at the end of this lap.
Yeah, he's definitely going to get the black and orange flag to tell him to return to the pits. The McLaren is normally remarkably fast in a straight line, but when you've essentially got the shape of a space shuttle, I don't think you're going to be that fast anymore. But he's doing well to hold on position. It looked like the Lamborghini as well had a bit of damage on the front left, but he seems to have avoided it in the end. Isn't losing too much ground. In fact, he's right behind the VSR Lamborghini, and he's going for, and actually that's it. That's the front left puncher. That's the number 19. So he is already down the order in 19th place, 24th place, Baptiste Moulin. So he's already hit trouble, and he was the one who had the impact with Ollie Milroy, the number 7 car. So he did in fact have that front left puncher. We're now looking at the Ferrari. That is the number 16 of Frederick Leo. The Lamborghini's broken ahead 2.4 seconds from Michele Beretta. Bononomi's behind. He made a gap as well to Martin Kodric. The slipstream isn't as strong as single-seaters, but I think the top 2 cars have definitely got the advantage. Let's see if they can fix this bodywork.
Inception Racing go to work. And the door comes off. This is probably the most high-tech GT3 car in the world. With all due respect to the others, it's certainly quick, but it is a work of art. To be fair, they all are. And Michele Beretta, he has avoided the carnage which took place behind him, the chaos, I should say. And he has got the race lead from Marco Bononomi, although they both did go straight ahead. And there is inevitably the investigation involving Moulin and also Ollie Milroy, who's down in pit lane. So Brendan Leach, he also went straight ahead. The Kiwi in position 7 with Federico Leo right behind the returning 2012 champion. And there's his teammate down in pit lane. Let's remember, this gives hope for Andy Soucek in the championship. A 3-strong Vincenzo Sospiri racing team attacks. Sure, Michele Beretta is the race leader, the championship leader, but 1 VSR car down gives hope to Andy Soucek, who comes onto your screen now in the background. The Austrian Spaniard for Lechner Racing in the 77 Porsche is in position 5.
Yeah, and we do have several kind of one-off entries in between him and Beretta, so they're going to be taking points away. The McLaren has exited the pit, so they've successfully repaired the door. We're going back to the battle for second place, Bononomi and International GTOpen returnee Kodric. Now here is Ollie Milroy exiting the pits. I think he's far enough ahead that he's not going to impact Michele Beretta in any way, but it does change the Pro-Am class battle, which is currently led by Brendan Leach, but Florian Scholz is the first of our full season entries down in 9th place.
Ollie Milroy will be praying for a safety car because you are about to see the leaders come up to virtually put a lap on car 7. We take a look at the start. Bononomi from the outside of the front row was a superstar from Hites in the Ferrari in second place. Brendan Leach sensed his opportunity to go up the inside, and that's why Beretta went straight ahead. He was pushed as they went over the ripple strips. Bononomi did likewise. No problem for Marco. He goes straight on and accelerates, and we've got Gerhard Traureser and, in fact, Jan Seifert going around further in the background. That was off screen. This was Brendan Leach going straight ahead. And there's the contact, that big contact between Ollie Milroy and Baptiste Moulin, who is still stuck down in pit lane. Bononomi on your screen, Martin Kodric behind. So probably the best beneficiary of all that.
Oh, well, we weren't expecting that. That is...
That's on his outlap. This is effectively game over for the McLaren team. I was going to say Martin Kodric has probably been the big winner out of all this. Ollie Milroy had rejoined. He was, I was saying, hoping for a safety car to come out, but that's now irrelevant because he's lost half the bodywork, and that will be another pit stop. It's effectively going to be the end of the day for the 7 McLaren. As you ride on board with Martin Kodrick in the 2Cs Motorsport Mercedes, he's got Marco Bononomi in the NSX just ahead, and Ben Yahites behind in the Rinaldi Racing Ferrari.
I'm not sure if they're going to be allowed to do this, but obviously Optimum is running more than one car, so they may have a spare right-hand door for the other car. However, with the technical passport, I'm not sure if that door has to go on that car, or if they kind of borrow it and have a second door change for that McLaren. I've never seen a door fall off without contact, which is what occurred there. Lamborghini getting very close. Brendan Leach defending 6th place very hard. Now they're in different classes. Here is door change number 2, little dance to the door. Here is a replay.
It just goes.
Ooh. Now, yeah, so basically it doesn't look like it was closed properly, and a little bit of air has got underneath, and the velocity, simple physics velocity, and then the speed you're going at, and how much air is being pushed into it, the force literally just pulls the door open and then presumably off its hinge entirely.
We're just getting word from race control. You could see in the background just a few moments ago that there is debris on the circuit at the exit of turn 4. Obviously, half of the McLaren is missing. Here's Downey pit lane. Ollie Milroy has made it back. So now, finally, the race settles down. And Beretta, whilst all that has been happening, he's pulled out by almost 4 seconds. He goes down into the Ascari chicane. Marco Bononomi with Martin Kodrick all over the back of him. And then Ben Yahites, Andy Soucek in P5, having a good, clean, solid start to the race. Still desperately hoping that somehow he can win the 2021 GTOpen International Championship. On board with Kodrick, but the NSX is quick in a straight line. The twin-turbo V6 down into the Alboreto Parabolica as we listen to the thunderous roar of the 6.2-litre V8. Mercedes finest on the back of the Japanese supercar, a new spec NSX on the way in 2022 as well. There is Ben Yahites, he's defending from Andy Soucek. Brendan Leach in the background. He's got Michael Dynan all over the back of him. Federico Leo up into P8. Shelton Jens Renault Moller. He's also made a good start. He's in position 10 and he's the 3rd Pro-M class car on the circuit. So the Pro cars 1 through to 5. Brendan Leach officially is in the Pro-Am category and they are leading that, although Brendan, that's of no interest to him. He wants to win the race outright, or certainly get on the podium outright. That was the debris down, flashing by the front left of Kodrick's Mercedes. Let's listen to this for a brief moment at least. That thunderous roar of the 6.2-litre V8 Mercedes. The Cup cars on your screen, so we are keeping an eye on the battle. Glauco Solieri is actually leading the Cup class, the Italian veteran. There is the debris on the outside of turn 4.
Because we've got so many cars on track, the marshals are never really going to get a chance to remove it. The Porsche is going to try and draw alongside each other on the exit of the corner. That is the number 53 and the 54 going to Lesmo 1 side by side. He actually gets it done. Marcian goes straight past. I imagine the second Porsche wants to get back through, and we've got a 3rd one as well. GT Cup Open Europe does seem to be a predominantly Porsche class as the Ferrari goes right around the outside at Parabolica. That is on Andy Soucek. So Soucek potentially got past prior to the penultimate corner, and now he's trying to regain the position he's just lost on the entry.
Andy Soucek and Ben Yahites, they go within centimetres of each other down the straight at over 280 kilometres an hour.
And Kodrick is about to take it round. No, he hasn't, so Bononomi's held on to 2nd place. Kodrick has gone just alongside going to turn 1, but he had the inside line ahead of him. And that is Soucek jumping straight over the curbs to stay ahead of Benjamin Hites in 4th place. Now, he obviously did actually navigate the first part of the corner. It was only the second part, so I think he might get away with that.
The debris still on the circuit at turn 4. Bononomi now having to defend from Martin Kodrick in the background. Ben Yahites and Andy Soucek having their own private battle for positions 4 and 5. Andy Soucek, he's trying to drop off the Chilean. That's Brendan Leach in the background. Incidentally, we were watching the battle in the Cup class. Jan Loris and Nicolas van Dierendonk, the 2 Belgian drivers who have elected to race with us this weekend at Monza in the penultimate round of the championship in the GT Cup Open class. so many of his countrymen racing in the Zolder 24-hour race this weekend. But it's great to have Jan and Nicholas with us here at Monza, and they are currently leading the Cup class as Marco Bononomi fights down through the Ascari chicane. Martin Kodrick really looks good. Take a look at the replay of Andy Suchek going straight over the curbs. Let's hope there's not damage to the 77 Lechner Racing Porsche. Andy in position 4. Bononomi. It's quick in a straight line though, the NSX, the twin turbo V6 versus the V8 6.2 litre Mercedes, but he's got the slipstream though. 278 kilometres, around about 280 with the slipstream if you add 2 or 3 to it. As they race down the straight, Bononomi stays to his right, to your left. Kodrick says, no problem, I'll shoot to the outside. Bononomi now drifts across into the middle of the circuit, hard on the brakes in car 18. Kodrick no way round as they race up into La Curva Grande. In the background, Andy Suchek is actually catching this battle. He's dropped off Bendijites somewhat. And then we wait for Brendan Leach. Bononomi will go defensive into the second chicane, and all the while, Michele Beretta is escaping away. He's 5.4 seconds down the road. On board again with Martin.
Now the Mercedes should have more traction as they come out of the Lesmo in pretty much every corner because it's front-engined, and of course it's, I believe it's front-wheel drive as well. Well, I may be wrong on that point, but there's more weight over the front, so it should be able to get out of corners faster than the Honda, which is a mid-engine supercar. You can see a bit of, I think that might just be gravelly dust kicked up by someone else there that he runs over, going through into the back straight. These two are already 5 seconds behind our leading car, Michele Beretta, Fredrik Schandorf, who are pretty much on course for the title at this rate. Having said that, that's their teammate who would have been in the supporting role, the number 16. Yeah, he has gone straight to gravel, and it looks like he was burning the clutch there because there was a lot of smoke coming out the car.
At the moment, it is just a local yellow flag at turn 7. We take one look out the window here in our commentary position for the safety car. It's almost inevitably going to be deployed. This is disappointing for Federico Leo. Parks it in the gravel, gets out of the car, and the safety car is out onto the circuit. Hugely disappointing for his teammate, Giacomo Altoea, who has not even driven the car today. So the safety car out onto the circuit, and the 5.6 second lead of Michele Beretta over his countryman Bononomi absolutely evaporates now. Kodrick, we rode on board as Brendan Leach goes through. As the Cup cars have their own battle, and we've lost car 100 for Benaldi Motorsport, Jakub Duanicki and Jan Antoszewski, who finished 3rd in Hungary.
Was that a total brake failure? Because both of the fronts there went, and you could hear them squealing very, very loudly, so it sounds like they were both locked, but the car wasn't slowing down.
Jakub Duanicki behind the wheel. He's into the marbles, just locks up. The car gets very light.
Oh no, the front left, yeah. So potentially a steering issue there. Was there some contact before we didn't get to see? Because it is very unusual. Although that corner is quite fast, you wouldn't need to hit the brakes that hard to navigate it. So a bit worrying for them.
Jakub Duanicki behind the wheel. As we say, they finished on the podium in Hungary. And this is a sad sight. The Vincenzo Sospiri racing team, who do lead the race, are now from 3 cars down to 2.
And actually that was at second Lesmo, which is after turn 4 where the debris was on the left-hand side. Potentially he's hit that debris. It's either lodged itself in the wheel arch somehow, and that's gone off. That's speculating, but we didn't see the debris when they came round afterwards because they're now behind the safety car. So either the marshals have been able to clear it, or I expect the number 100 Porsches hoovered it up and then gone straight into the gravel.
Or simply got a puncher and had no steering.
Yeah.
It is possible. Regardless, Jakub Duanicki, it looks as though he only just kissed the barrier reasonably lightly. Federico Leo, he got a glimpse of the Italian who's destroyed. His race is over. He's out of the car.
Menacing clouds coming as well.
Well, let's not say this. Let's not repeat what happened in Austria 2 weeks ago. So let's check the order. Michele Beretta, the championship leader, is also the race leader as we go inside the Kessel Racing Garage. Marco Bononomi in P2 and Martin Kodrick in third place. Axel Jeffries from Zimbabwe, winner of the Dubai 24-hour race. And a good start by Fernando Fortes in car 32 and Mauro Marcio. There is the debris being removed at the exit of turn 4. That was a valuable piece, or once was, a valuable piece of McLaren's 720 supercar.
And McLaren merchandise will probably rocket in value today because Lando Norris has taken pole for the Russian Grand Prix. Obviously, Daniel Ricciardo won at this very circuit just
13
a few
days
weeks
ago.
Yeah.
This is Fortes and Mauro Mauricio joining us here at Monza, and there's Jakub Durnicki in the background being dragged off the circuit. The car looks straight, and by that it doesn't look as though he's got any major body damage as we saw from Ollie Milroy's McLaren. Yes, great to have Fernando Fortes and Mauro Mauricio joining us from the Porsche Carrera Cup Brazilian Championship. We say bom dia a nossos amigos assistindo no Brasil. So many of you watching us live down in South America. I don't really speak Portuguese, but it's great to have the Brazilians on track here with us this weekend. As we say, we had a look at those cars down in pit lane, the 360 Racing team. They are absolutely works of art. Car 27 and car 32. And they've made good starts as well. Closing in on the back of Glauco Solieri, the Italian who has driven absolutely everything in the past few seasons. So the safety car will come in this lap. It's been a scrappy start to the race. It has given Marco Bononomi a chance to take a breath as you look at Jan Lorison from Belgium, leading his countryman Nicolas van Dierendonck. They're in 14th and 15th outright in the Cup class. The safety car pulls in this lap. We have raced for 20 of 70 minutes, and Beretta goes very wide on the exit. The safety car into pit lane, and once again we race. The green flag flies, and he immediately pulls to his left, to your right, to try and break the toe. Marco Bononomi with a Croatian Martin Kodric right in the background. Martin tries to get by into second place. He's really got some superb pace here this afternoon. And as you would expect from Andy Soucek, one of the most intelligent, one of the most experienced drivers in the field, he's just picking them off one by one. Started grid 6, he's now in position 4 and trying to follow the Mercedes through. So it's the two cars from Germany behind the Japanese supercar, which is the NSX, the new type, or the new generation NSX on its way in 2022. So the GT3 from Honda will continue racing next season as Marco makes a mistake on the exit. This gives Martin the opportunity. So Bononomi, with the slightest of errors, opens the door, and Martin Kodric finally goes through to take second place. And Bononomi cannot defend any further, and Soucek is now all over the back of the Italian who finished third in the 2015 Le Mans 24-hour race. That was for Audi, that was in LMP1. He rejoins us on his home circuit in the penultimate round of our championship. He's in P3. As Soucek and Brendan Leach has gone through the Kiwi up into P5. The Leipert Motorsport car, which Brendan knows so well because he works as a mechanic for the team, coming over from the very south of the world, from Invercargill in New Zealand. He's now in P5 for the German Leipert Motorsport team, having got by not one but two Ferraris behind him, Benny Hites and also Michael Dynan. This is the slight moment which cost Bononomi second place. At the exit to the second chicane, struggle for traction. And Martin Kodric simply up the inside. He'd been hassling Marco even before the safety car had come out, and has gone through to second place. So this will be interesting because Michele Beretta, he was 6 seconds ahead, but Kodric was clearly being held up by Marco Bononomi, who's now got Andy Soucek right behind him. Jens Renault Moller in the 11 Honda. He's made a good start. He's up into P9. And it won't be too long before we see whose tactics are what when the cars dive down into pit lane.
Yeah, Michele Beretta has basically repeated what he did beforehand. Like you said, 6 seconds lead. Now he's 2 seconds ahead after only pretty much 2 laps since the safety car restart. So he's done a very good job. Clearly knows how to get the tyres up to temperature faster than anyone else. And we've now got a drive-through for car number 24. That's for causing a collision with 26. That is Maciej Blasek down in 17th. We've only got one AM car in this race, but the GT Cup Open Europe Pro-Am battle, Jan Luysen's leading that by only half a second, so that's potentially going to break up that battle once Blasek dives into the pits to serve that penalty.
Eugenio Pisani in car 44, trying to chase down Nicolas van Dierendonck, so the Porsche GT Cup class cars on your screen. Jan Luysen, Nicolas van Dierendonck, the 2 Belgians from Eugenio Pisani. Maciej Blasek just behind it, Glauco Solieri in car 12. The Italian veteran, he's leading the Cup AM class. Eugenio Pisani diving down into the Ascari chicane. Maciej Blasek on your screen in car 24. Good start from him. And now we ride on board with the pole. He'll be handing over to Maciej Lisowski halfway through the race, and it won't be too long before the pit stop window is open. So Beretta with 1.7 seconds. Back to Martin Kodric. He has not been able to race away from the field as he did before the safety car had come out. We can expect an early pit stop from car 63. That's the word, which I probably shouldn't say on air, from Vincenzo Sospiri Racing. We are expecting them to stop early and Frederick Schandorf to take over on a brand new set of Michelin slick tyres and try and build up an advantage earlier in the race. So as soon as this pit stop window opens, as Maciej Blasek comes down into pit lane to serve that penalty, yeah, expect an early stop from car 63, the race leader.
Yeah, Franz Schandorf has done several times this year, kind of charged up through the order when he's in the second half of the race. Obviously, sometimes he's been the starting driver as well. Kodric, similarly, back when he was driving the McLaren a few years ago, he was pretty much, especially at the very end of the second stints of the race, he'd be in all the battles he could find and get involved, just like we have here. 5 cars in a row. Nick Moss is in there, Jan Seifert's in there, Jens Renault Moller. That's pretty much all for the Pro-Am class battle. Now, Nick Moss is picking up the points there. We've also got Brendan Leach up front, who is winning that class, but he hasn't competed the whole season. So essentially they are chasing Florian Scholz for the de facto win, because that's where, you know, the title battle is being fought.
This is a fabulous fight between Michael Dine and Florian Scholz. Car 47 for Antonelli Motorsport. Right behind him, Jens Renault Moller and Nick Moss in the leading McLaren at the moment. Incidentally, Ollie Milroy still out circulating, but way down the field, and behind is Jan Seifert in car 17. The Green Tiger Lamborghini tries to get the run as they thunder down the main straight here at Monza. Andy Soucek still in position 4, can't go by Marco Bononomi, and a 1:48.723 Martin Kodric with the fastest lap of the race at the moment. There is the Pro-Am leader from New Zealand going through. Jens Renault Moller so close to the back of Florian Scholz. And behind him, Nick Moss in the 72 McLaren as well. This is a fabulous fight, mainly with these Pro-Am class cars inside the top 10 as well. Jan Seifert just behind. Jens Renault Moller goes defensive. The McLaren right behind of Nick Moss. Jan Seifert tries to get the run on car 72 as they exit the second chicane. Lamborghini versus the twin-turbo V8 McLaren, which has got so much torque. It was a big talking point, no pun intended, last time out at Austria. It just bolts out of the corners, particularly on an undulating circuit where they raced up the hill. But here the McLarens, well, they seem to be matched by the Lamborghinis as they go wheel to wheel down the back straight through Seraglio, under the bridge. The V10 Lamborghini, it is a Lamborghini circuit here. Can he take him? We're about to find out. Nick Moss, he's got the racing line and closes the door on Jan Seifert, but they've still got the back straight as they race into the Michele Alboreto Parabolica.
Yeah, he absolutely parked the car on the apex there. That did kind of compromise the traction as he went through the corner. You can see every car's got their lights on now, a lot of shadows around the track. We've been under cloud cover pretty much for the last few hours, but it's certainly getting a little colder, a little windier as well. We don't want to see any rain because obviously that will spice things up a little too much, but it's definitely going to change when the new drivers come in with fresh tyres, very cold tyres as well. And that's going to be a bit difficult for them to kind of acclimatise themselves to the track conditions. We're going to go back to the battle for third place. Now, these guys are 4.5 seconds behind our leading car, Michele Beretta. Giuseppe Beretta might pit early, however, with the success handicap on the pit stop, which will mean he'll be stopped in the pit lane for longer, he'll actually drop into the traffic. So potentially they want to leave Beretta out for longer so he clears this traffic, because they're just battling among themselves. They are slowly losing time to Beretta and Kodric, who is closing in with every lap. But they're still only 4 to 6 seconds behind, and he'll be dropped in behind them if he pits early.
We shall see, because the pit stop window is about to open imminently. Let's just say we do expect them to come down, and Frederick Schandorf on a new set of tyres to try and make up that gap or that disadvantage from the longer pit stop as he comes out of the pits on a new set. As Florian Schultz continues to defend from Jens Renault Moller. Incidentally, a 1:48.679 from Martin Kodric. He is the fastest driver on the circuit, and he is catching the championship leader, the race leader, Michele Beretta. Bononomi sits down in third place, ahead of Andy Soucek and Brendan Leach, leading the Pro-Am category class. The Dale ITM driver, there he is in the Liebert Motorsport Lamborghini, an outstanding position 5.
And his class rival, Florian Schultz and Jens Renault Moller. Moller has been warned for driving standards or racing standards by the stewards. So that's probably for essentially just the side-by-side stuff with the drivers around him. But it's looked pretty clean so far, I'd say, particularly since the safety car restart. We haven't seen any crashes or anyone getting, any unfair moves. But in the GT Cup Open Europe battle, further back, our top two are still covered by half a second. And the driver change window opens now. We've got 5 cars in the pits. I think that's the Porsche, the Ferrari.
Jacopo Guidetti will take over from Marco Bononomi. The 2 Italians switch positions. Andy Soucek also pits early. He'll hand over to Al Faisal Al Zubair. We look at the 333 Ferrari as well. Fabrizio Crestani gets behind the wheel. Loris Spinelli will take over from Florian Schultz. This is the 17 Lamborghini. As Jan Seifert gets out, the German hands over to the Austrian Gerhard Twereza. If I got that in the right order. Yes, Jan is from Germany and Gerhard is Austrian. This is the Antonelli Motorsport Mercedes. Loris Spinelli to get behind the wheel and take it to the checkered flag, which is in 40 minutes from now. So Michele Beretta, will he pull into the pits this time? The pit stop window has just opened as one of the Cup class cars comes into pit lane. This is Dirk Shelton taking over from the Belgian Nicolas van Dierendonck. They were leading the Cup class. Martin Kodric, an underrated driver. He ran here, remember, 2 years ago, the final round of the 2019 GTOpen International Championship. Did Martin Kodric. Finished 3rd in the series, also finished 7th outright and took a class victory in the Bathurst 12-hour. That was at the start of 2020, before the world stopped turning on its own axis. And they were able to compete in that race, which was not held this year. Martin Kodric has taken the race lead as Michele Beretta, as expected, he wasn't the first, but does dive down into pit lane. And Frederick Schandorf takes over the wheel of the 63 Vincenzo Sospiri Racing Lamborghini down into pit lane. Beretta out, Schandorf in.
PSR have normally been very good on their pit stops this year, so we're not expecting anything messy with this stop. Driver change itself is sometimes a little slow just because you've got the time to play with the handicap. We're looking at the Pavarud Renzuelo Moller car, 85-second success handicap there, so they've obviously done a good job in the Pro-Am class recently. Following the 2C's car up front, Martin Kodric, 6.7 seconds ahead of Brendan Leach, and he's a lap ahead of the Ferrari that came through, Michael Dillon Ferrari. So, well, actually, he's 12 seconds ahead of that Ferrari. There's another Ferrari he's now a lap ahead of, so he knows roughly where he's going to drop into when he takes his pit stop, because it's a 1 minute 50 lap around here, and the pit stops themselves are lasting at least 1 minute 10. So it's getting pretty close, and obviously you're going to lose time on the out lap and the in lap as well.
Getting that magnificent sound of car 9 as he goes down the back straight. A close-up look of Luca Magnoni, who has just taken over the 57 Honda. sideways on the exit as he just gets a feel for the circuit. So Martin Kodrich stays out in the lead. Brendan Leach in second place, outright. And of course, leading the Pro-Am class category here this weekend. The 24 Porsche down in pit lane as well. Maciej Lisowski to take over the wheel of car 24. AMP racing team entry of Maciej Blachik, who gets out, and Maciej Lisowski gets behind the wheel. Martin Kodrich continues on. Lap 18, almost approaching half race distance. He's got a lead of 7.8 seconds. A stunning drive on debut in the GTOpen International Championship for Brendan Leach. As we say, he was racing last week at the Hockenheimring in the ADAC GT Championship. Actually works in the workshop for Lopet Motorsport. Has the overalls on. Grease under the fingernails, to use the cliche. Does Brendan. Has a mechanical background. He was preparing his own race cars at the age of 14 or 15 back in New Zealand. As Kodrich uses every piece of the racetrack and then some at the exit of the Lesmo 2. Brendan Leach, also a few seasons racing in open wheelers at US Formula 4, and of course racing in the New Zealand Grand Prix, which did take place this year and will take place, although the Toyota Racing Series won't. But the lone New Zealand Grand Prix will take place in 2022. He raced that. Due to the world being as it is at the moment and unlikely to change anytime soon, he won't be back for the 2022 edition. Concentrating on this drive with Lopet Motorsport. There he is in the background. He's 8.3 seconds behind the car on your screen, Martin Kodrich, who will hand over to the young Canadian, Ethan Simeone. Not this time though. Martin Kodrich continues on another lap. As we say, a very quick, very underrated driver. 24 years of age from Croatia. Racing in the Blancpain GT Series a couple of years ago when it was named such. As we say, third in the GTOpen International Championship with Teo Martin Motorsport 2 seasons ago. And yes, he did win this race at the end of 2019. Jan Lauritsen, the Belgian, on your screen in car 54.
Currently in 5th place, so we've still got our 2 GT4 cars up in 5th and 6th on the lead lap.
That is superb from Jan Lauritsen. 5th place outright. Sure, he's yet to stop, but regardless, that is a great drive. We'll see if he pulls into the pits this time or just continues on. The Belgian flag on the side of the 54 Porsche.
Why wouldn't he stay out? You know, if there is another safety car, he could essentially make up 30 seconds minimum on the rest of the pack just by prolonging that time until he makes his pit stop. And we can see the 2C's Motorsport team, Ethan Simeone, getting ready. So Kodrich is very likely to come in at the end of this lap. We've still got 6 minutes to go, so there's ample time to wait out for that stop. But he is now in traffic, so it's better to stop now and lose less time trying to lap GT Cup Open Europe cars and potentially, you know, lose time on the out lap, but at least you're out of that traffic.
Just coming up to put a lap on Mauro Marcio from Brazil in the GT Cup class down into the Alboreto Parabolica. And the same can be said for Martin Kodrich to stay out, although we do expect him to pull to the right this time with Ethan Simeone. No, another lap.
And Frederick Schandorf down in 9th place is just at the fastest lap of anyone.
Ominous.
Yeah, he's already 7/10 of a second faster than our lead crew, so he's a lap behind though. But I think he will come out probably maybe 10 seconds ahead, potentially.
He is the first, in fact, as Kodrich goes by. As Marcio comes down into pit lane in car 27, the 360 racing team. So he's the first unlapped car. Michael Tynan, car 25, pulls down into pit lane. In car 25, the Ferrari. So good to have the Kessel racing team back with us. They're from Switzerland, just north of the border. You can almost see the Swiss Alps on a clear day here in the north of Italy. We are at the Monza circuit, which is around about 30 kilometres north of the northern Italian capital city of Milan, certainly the fashion capital of the world. The Kessel racing team from Switzerland back with us in the GTOpen International Championship. Jan Lauritsen from Belgium. A lot of experience racing in the Bell Car Series. Now pulls down into pit lane. as Alberto Lippi takes over. Car 57. The Honda, which was up into position 4, taking over from Luca Magnoni.
And that is our GT Cup Open Euro leader, Jan Larsson, pitting from what was a very high 5th place just as the Ferrari exit. So he for a very slim second there, held 4th place as well for about 0.5 seconds. Now he's back down the order. The question is, will he come out in the lead of his class? Because that's essentially what he is fighting for.
And he's a sole driver as well.
Yeah.
No co-driver for Jan. He's doing the entire 70 minutes himself. As we look at Martin Kodrich, stay to the right of the circuit, hard on the brakes, and down into pit lane where he will hand over to the Canadian Ethan Simeone. 2Cs Motorsport go to work. We were watching them on Thursday night practice pit stops. Much easier to do on Thursday at 7 o'clock when there's no one around, but in race conditions, that's when the pressure is on. It looks good for the moment. There is a hose line. It was just put behind the door. No harm done. The door shut. As Martin Kodrich, who's done a superb job to lead up until, well, we've passed the halfway point of the race, hands over to Ethan Simeone. The Canadian will rejoin the circuit, but we look at Frederick Schandorf, who has put in some missile quick laps. He is P6 outright, having already stopped. As Jacopo Guidetti, this is a good story as well. An international kart racer only a couple of seasons ago, racing in the TCR Italian Touring Car Championship, steps up to GT3, Jacopo Guidetti, the Nova race event team, teaming up with Renault Racing. They were racing in the Italian GT Championship at Vallelunga to the north of Rome 6 days ago as Ethan exits pit lane. We'll see where the Canadian comes out. He won't lose too much. This is actually impressive from the 2Cs Motorsport team. They are leading the pro class as Brendan Leach, the New Zealander, now leads the race outright. What a performance from Brendan Leach from New Zealand on debut in the International GT Open Championship. Brendan Leach for Leipert Motorsport in position 1 here at Monza.
Yeah, he's yet to pit, and we've still got Eugenio Pisani in 4th place. Similarly, has yet to pit as well, though he's about to be overtaken by Fabrizio Crestani, who's got Frederick Schandorf on his tail as well. So Schandorf's trying to filter back into the overall race lead, but he's got Ethan Simeone about 7 seconds ahead. It's going to be quite the challenge. Going to dive down the inside of the GT Cup Open Europe car. Didn't have to let him pass because that is actually for overall position. And our other GT Cup Open car, Jan Larsson, he has just exited the pits. He is down in 15th place as Brendan Leach comes in. He's handing over to Tyler Cook, a 75-second handicap. So Ethan Simeone could come out at the end of this inheriting the race lead overall.
Brendan Leach down into pit lane. He has done a superb job on debut in the International GT Open Championship. The super experienced Leipert Motorsport team, they go to work, handing over, as we say, to the American driver Tyler Cook. And the 7 McLaren back in pit lane. It has not been their afternoon. Brendan Irib to take the wheel. They're actually in 17th place. They are still circulating. No chance in the race here this afternoon, but they are getting valuable laps at least.
And it will mean, with a bad result, they'll have a smaller success handicap for the penalty into tomorrow's race, which could mean their favourites to victory.
Glass half full, silver line. I don't know the exact cliche, but they have to take the positives out of what has been a messy start to race 1 here this afternoon. Race 2, of course, tomorrow. We expect that to be wet. Well, anything can happen in the next 24 hours, though. Tyler Cook rejoins just behind Al Faisal Al Zubair, who is in position 6. Down in pit lane, car 44. One of the GT Cup class cars, I should say. Stefano Bozzoni and Eugenio Pisani.
And the McLaren has exited the pits. It's back on track. Obviously 3 laps down now, I think, at this point, with Brendan Irib in the car completing its compulsory stop. Of course, had to stop twice earlier to repair a door that came off. And Gerald Teresa's just moved up to 8th place, and that is for 3rd in the Pro-Am class. So we've got Ethan Simeone up front, 3.7 seconds ahead of Jacopo Guidetti. Fabrizio Crestani a further 3 seconds behind, although Frederick Schandorf is all over the rear of him, as we're about to follow right now.
Ethan Simeone from Canada is leading the race, the young 23-year-old. What a superb story this would be if he can take it to the checkered flag, but there's just under half an hour's racing still to come. Jacopo Guidetti, car 18, the Honda NSX, about to flash by at the bottom of your screen. Jacopo is in second place. Fabrizio Crestani, Frederick Schandorf right behind the 333 Ferrari of Rinaldi Racing after Ben Yahites made that brilliant start earlier on in the race. The blue flags are flying in the background. We have got the GT Cup cars racing back with us here at Monza, which is fabulous to see, but it will be something of a frustration to the GTOpen drivers. That is what endurance racing is all about, as Crestani locks up going into the first chicane. Frederick Schandorf all over the back of him. Crestani defending for the final step of the podium, but he cannot do that for the remaining half an hour with Frederick Schandorf right behind him. He needs to pull away. That does not look likely at the moment as we go down into pit lane with the McLaren team. Crestani holds his own for the moment. Frederick Schandorf, he told us earlier in the day, he needs to, again, I have to use the cliche, what is it, make hay while the sun... He's got a new set of Michelin tyres, they pitted early, and he needs to put in the quick laps now. Pick your own cliche.
Without getting too nerdy, it's make hay while the sun shines.
There we go.
Because it needs to be a certain moisture level, and if it's too dry, then you can't make it, and if it's too wet, you can't make it.
Really?
Yeah, agriculture is a huge thing in Italy. You know, if you go take the train to Imola from here, you will see so many fields of so many different wheats and different grains being grown, and that's a very long, complicated process. And of course, if you're a farmer in Italy, you're going to drive a Lamborghini tractor. That is the default tractor of choice over here, as it is in England.
Having grown up on a farm in country Australia, I should know that as we look at Schandorf. Try the outside of Fabrizio Crestani. Frederick Schandorf has got the speed, and now he takes the lead of this battle as well. Nicely done by the Great Dane, who goes through into position 3. Crestani drops back to 4. Al-Faisal Al-Zubair, he's not too far back either in the 77 Lechner Racing entry. So Schandorf already in that short distance has pulled away around 5 to 6 car lengths. This is a Lamborghini circuit. Certainly we spoke about the McLarens having the edge seemingly at the Red Bull Ring 2 weeks ago, although the Aston Martin certainly proved that not totally correct. Certainly the McLaren was bolting up the hill out of the corners, but here the Lamborghini can stretch its legs. It's got a screaming V10 engine, highly geared. As we take a look at the replay, Crestani did defend the best he possibly could, but Frederick Schandorf on that new set of Michelin tyres simply drove around the outside of the Italian, and the Dane up into position 3. Nice move by Frederick Schandorf. Vincenzo Sospiri Racing down in pit lane with their retired 16 car of Federico Leo. They cheer that move on. The championship leader now up into position 3. Ethan Simeone, the 23-year-old North American from Canada, leads the race.
Jacopo Guidetti, 2.3 seconds behind. Both of these drivers are part-time entrants in this series, so Frederick Schandorf doesn't really have to worry about them taking points off him. In fact, all it's going to do is help him have a smaller success handicap in tomorrow's race, but he's still going to gain points on his rivals. He's already leading the championship, but he's just going to extend his advantage there. Al-Faisal Al-Zubair a further 4 seconds back from Schandorf at the moment, and potentially we see Schandorf going through the corner here as he hits the brakes. You can see how much grip those fresh tyres have because he bites the brake and it just grips straight away. The car acts as he wants it to, and then he can just get out the corner, throttle fully down, and it's totally fine. Here is the Porsches in the GT Cup Europe battle. They have spun around. That is the number 54 who was leading the class earlier this race, being biffed around by the number 44.
Jan Lauritsen going around. Stefano Bozzoni has gone through to take the place, but we don't expect that to be the end of the matter. Maciej Lisowski simply says Shinkoya, and the pole goes around both of them. And this is not good to see. Jan Lauritsen, who's driven superbly, the Belgian, furious walks off, and he's out after doing a superb job in the first almost hour of this race.
And he's parked next to a marshal post. They should be able to just push that car out of harm's way, and we don't need a safety car. And also the car that made use of that was one that has already served a penalty in this race. Already got back into contention, so that's a brilliant job there in the GT Cup Open Europe battle. We're now going to go back to the front. The gap between our top two cars, they were split by 0.035 seconds on the previous lap. Jacopo Guidetti, the faster car, in second place. We're in the Honda Racing garage at the moment, so a lot of support from Honda Racing from Japan. You've got JAS Motorsport as well, which is the team that helps it in Europe, and they're really pushing hard on this driver development program, the NSX GT3 program, the incoming NSX GT3 program as well. A lot of investment in the European motorsport side for Honda Racing at the moment, and of course they're contending for the IndyCar title tomorrow night as well. So a lot of things to be excited about if you're at Honda.
And the new spec NSX on its way in 2022, which ensures that we will see the Honda racing in GT3 in the International GTOpen Championship for the next few seasons at least. We'll just take a quick note to point out some of the cars that are potentially on the way. You may have heard that there is a new Nissan GTR T-Spec on the way as well. Hopefully, we may well see the fabulous Godzilla back in the GTOpen International Championship. Even though that model is basically 16 years old, it is still a fantastic car. And Nissan are hinting that an R36 is on the way. But for the moment, the R35 T-Spec GTR, and also the Lotus Emira, the GT4 car, it has recently been homologated. As you saw, Jan Laurissen's car in the background, out of harm's way. But unfortunately, the Belgian has retired. The Lotus Emira, which is powered by a V6 supercharged Toyota 3.5-litre engine, potentially can make its way into the GTOpen International Championship. And as we alluded to, let's say, there is possibly the greatest supercar of all time as a big moment further back for Joe Osborne. The Countach is back, a V12 Countach. Mr. Giorgio Sana, the boss of Lamborghini, was here at the circuit this morning. We did try and put the word to him. No response for the moment. Will we see the Countach back battling the likes of the McLaren and the Honda, which are on your screen at the moment. So Joe Osborne just ahead. That's the 11 Honda in the background of Marcus Pavarud.
And he's going to dive down the inside, so the Honda is ahead there past Joe Osborne, Gerald Trazer. Pretty good battle there. Actually, the previous driver in the car did get warned for his racing standards, but it looks pretty clean there. And actually, the field's kind of opened up all around the track at the moment. There's not too much traffic. Obviously, we've got our lead car here, Ethan Simeone, 2.8 seconds ahead of Jacopo Guidetti, who is again faster by a few tenths. You can see the gaps on the previous laps. 0.1, 3 tenths slower as he encountered traffic, then another 0.035 and 0.19. Now, the car, as we can see, the GT Cup Open Europe car of Jan Laurissen just after turn 2, that's going to remain there all race. Race controller said they're going to leave it there, and they're going to investigate the incident, which was
after the race.
Yeah, afterwards. So,
and that's the car that was involved in that incident. Stefano Bozzoni, who is P15, gets out of the throttle to let the race leader through. I hope that's what he was doing. You can see the damage to the front left of the 44 Porsche. Close the gate on the charmy Porsche from the north of Italy. This is not a good spot for Jacopo Guidetti to encounter his countryman into Lesmo 2, and Jacopo loses a little bit of time. The leader on our screen, the leaders plural. Ethan Simeone, Jacopo Guidetti, and it won't be long. We got a glimpse a few moments ago of Frederick Schandorf in the background as well. The tactic from Vincenzo Sospiri Racing, it looks as though it's working. Al-Faisal Al-Zubair, who is sharing the car with Andy Soucek, who's second in the series there, back in P5. There is Schandorf. 1, 2, 3 on your screen. The Mercedes, the Honda, and the Lamborghini, so some great variety as well. It is the 6.2 litre, the thundering V8 of the Mercedes versus the twin-turbo V6 of the Honda, and of course the screaming V10 of the Lamborghini, which is the championship leader. Listen to that echoing through the park here at Monza. I don't know how many engine RPM they're exactly doing. It It's a lot. It's up around 9,000 RPM. We'll try and find out exactly.
And the
later.
engine's obviously got 2 more cylinders, so it's you're spreading that power out further across the engine block. Jacopo Guidetti still being closed in by Frederick Schandorf, but at the same time he's closing in on Ethan Simeone. So Schandorf is actually 1.3 seconds faster than Ethan Simeone up front. Big gains with 17 minutes to go. It's a 1 minute 50 lap, so he's got around 7 or 8 laps to really make a move. Probably he needs to get within overtaking distance within 5 laps because there's going to be traffic in the way. There's going to be more things to look out for. So Schandorf could still win this race, and as we saw at the Red Bull Ring last time out, we had our top 5 go into the final lap. All 5 of them crashed, and somehow 4 of those 5 still ended up in the order, at the same order at the finish. So anything can happen.
We're expecting the rain tomorrow afternoon, not this afternoon though, as we look at Dirk Shelton on screen in car 53. Q1 by EMG Motorsport. Dirk sharing the car with Nicholas van Dierendonk, racing in the Bell Car Championship for the past few seasons. Also joining us in the GT Cup class as well. Has done a few of the 24-hour races as Dirk Shelton. Dirk from the Netherlands, Nicholas van Dierendonk, his teammate from Belgium. The 2-strong Q1 by EMG Motorsport team. Down through the first chicane. Having a good run here this afternoon. He's in position 14 outright and leading the Cup class. Stefano Bozzoni, he's second at the moment in the Cup class, but that incident to be investigated after the race, Stefano Bozzoni. And Fernando Fortes, he's actually 16th outright, ahead of the recovering American Brendan Irib after the 7 McLaren had, well, let's just say a very eventful first lap of the race. Dirk Shelton and Nicholas van Dierendonk leading the Cup class here at Monza. We go back to the battle. First, second, third. This is a fabulous fight between 2 super talents in the world of GT racing. Ethan Simeone, 23 years of age from Canada, racing in the Canadian GT Championship GT3 Cup Challenge over on the other side of the Atlantic. He was a professional kart racer up to a couple of seasons ago, finishing 3rd in the Florida Winter Tour a couple of seasons back, 2017, 18 off memory. Also in the Canadian Championship, taking the victory in that. Racing at, among other circuits, the Mont Tremblant circuit, which I think Mr. Stroll has got up for sale and then takes it off the market every now and then. Home track at times throughout the past few seasons in international karting for Ethan Simeone. And we go back to Jacopo Guidetti, 20 years of age, from not far from here, just south of Brescia, racing for Team Baby Race in international karting. And the 3 different manufacturers inside the top 3. Ominously though, Frederick Schandorf has put in the fastest second sector of the entire race. He's catching them. A superb run earlier for Marco Bononomi, former LMP1 driver, almost taking victory in the Le Mans 24-hour race. Finishing off memory, I think it was 3rd in the actual World Endurance Championship in the same year. Lives not far from the circuit, as so many of these drivers do. Marco Bononomi, this is Jacopo Guidetti. Nova Race Event, his teammate, joining forces with Renault Racing, as we say they will, racing in the Italian GT Championship at Vallelunga to the north of Rome 6 days ago. Ethan Simeone, this would be an amazing victory. He looks good as the traffic gets out of the way. He's holding his own. The gap is still 2.2 seconds. Sorry, it is still 2.2, but Frederick Schandorf last time round, a 1:48.397 versus Simeone, a 48.861. Here comes the Great Dane in the background. The Lamborghini is closing in on the Honda of Jacopo Guidetti, and also the race leader, Ethan Simeone.
Yeah, and Schandorf obviously pitted early, so his tyres are older than the 2 cars ahead, but as the fuel load decreases, the car becomes more nimble, which just simply becomes more easy to drive for Simeone and Guidetti. So the pace advantage Schandorf clearly has is going to be minimised more and more as we progress through this race, particularly on the lowest of fuel loads because of how heavy that Lamborghini is as well.
Ethan Simeone down through the first chicane, holding his own. I believe this is his first visit to Monza. I'll stand corrected on that. We'll see the times as they come across next time. The gap is 2 seconds between Simeone and Guidetti. The driver to watch, though, is Frederik Schandorf. Comes across the line this time, a 49 dead for Simeone and a 48.5. So Schandorf is absolutely flying. You ride on board with the Canadian. Once again, let's simply listen to this. The thunderous sound of the 6.2-litre Mercedes V8, and you could see how hard Ethan Simeone is working the wheel. He is on the absolute ragged edge as Frederik Schandorf. He's got young Jacopo Guidetti in his sights. They race under the old banking here at Monza, down into the Ascari chicane. The gap between Schandorf and Guidetti now down to 1.4 seconds. Here's Tyler Cook, who has taken over the Leipzig Motorsport Lamborghini. Let's give him some credit. They are still leading the Pro-Am class and position 6 outright. Joe Osborne, he's only a few car lengths behind.
And we're going to go and look at the battle with the McLaren at the moment, the number 72 of Joe Osborne. Now, Osborne's got a lot more experience than Tyler Cook on this circuit in particular, but, you know, it's not an advantage you can really make use of when you're against a Lamborghini on home turf. So it's going to be pretty difficult. And I think what Brendan did as well was really, really a consistent stint. They've obviously communicated what the track was like as he went over, because his opening laps when he took over the car, Tyler Cook was very fast. He has lost ground to the cars ahead, but he was never really supposed to be fighting them anyway. This is a Pro-Am class car, and they're getting the best Pro-Am performance out of it, you could say.
Those 4 Pro-Am cars, they're all, well, you can see they're all on your screen. Tyler Cook, car 10, Joe Osborne right behind. Gerhard Tuareza in position 8 in car 17, and Loris Spinelli for AKM Antonelli Motorsport as Tuareza goes straight ahead and makes an absolute mess of the chicane, and that gives hope for Loris Spinelli to go by and take position 8. From car 17, the HP Racing International Lamborghini, we'll see as they go down into the second chicane. Tyler Cook indeed in the background. Tuareza has just managed to hold off for the moment. Loris Spinelli, Michael Dynan rounds out the top 10. He's further behind this battle, but Tyler Cook teaming up is the American with the Kiwi, Brandon Leach, on the absolute edge. And we have to look at the McLaren in the background. You saw how wide he went, and the car just drove out of it. The McLaren, he's actually riding the ripple strip, riding the curb through the Ascari chicane, which is next as they come under the bridge. And Frederik Schandorf, meanwhile, as they get a tow, Jacopo Guidetti gets a tow from the 53 car of Dirk Shelton. And Schandorf will find him at the wrong part of the corner.
That is our GT Cup Open Europe leader after Jan Lauritsen retired. So he is, I think he's ahead by around 20 seconds from the next car in class. The Schandorf Lambo has got through though. So our top 3, Ethan Simeone crosses the line 2.3 seconds ahead. Jacopo Guidetti has a 1.1 second advantage now to Schandorf, but he's got no traffic to help, you know, hold him back now. There is just the Lambo in his mirrors. So that's not going to be the most, I almost say terrifying thing, but the most relaxing thing for the final 8 minutes of this race.
Fabrizio Crestani in the background going through. He's still in position 4 with Al Faisal Al Zubair, and with that it is almost good night for the championship for Andy Soucek, as we can see the McLaren. Look how it hugs the ripple strip and still at the same time gets the drive off the corner. The twin-turbo V8 behind the naturally aspirated Lamborghini V10. Tyler Cook driving as hard as he possibly can, but he's got the more experienced Joe Osborne right behind in the 72 McLaren. This is for the victory in the Pro-Am class here this afternoon. In the background, Gerhard Torreza has now been caught by the Italian in car 47 for Antonelli Motorsport, Loris Spinelli.
And the second of the McLarens as well, which, as you remember, had its door come off twice in the first 2 laps of this race, is still 7th in class. It's 2 laps down, rapidly closing in on Dirk Shelton, who is the GT Cup Open Europe leader, and he is having to concede places because he's being lapsed by other cars. But I think there's a minute gap, and there's only 7 minutes to go of this race, so he's going to be set for 7th in class, 15th overall, which, you know, good recovery after the very, very dramatic opening laps of the race that car had.
Frederick Schandorf has got the fastest lap of the race, a 1:48.397, as Tyler Cook defends. He's still got the lead of the Pro-Am class, and he's in position 6 outright. A moment just a few corners ago for the race leader. Don't throw it all away now, Ethan. He runs out of road at the exit of Lesmo 2. And that gives Jacopo Guidetti hope, but he's got his own problems in the form of Frederick Schandorf. Here comes the Great Dane, who ranges up behind the NSX, who is in contention for a victory here this afternoon. Great to see the Japanese manufacturer fighting for the top spot in GTOpen International. Frederick Schandorf, the championship leader, does not need to pass him to extend his lead in the championship, but try telling Frederick that their tactics to pit relatively early, put on a new set of Michelins, and try and just make up as much time as possible. It has worked up until now, but he's got 2 cars between himself and P1 in race 1 of International GT Open here at Monza.
And behind him, he's only got 1 car between himself and Al-Faisal Al-Zubair, who does share his Leclerc Racing Porsche of Suchek. Al-Faisal Al-Zubair is all over the rear of Fabrizio Crestani as he's going for 4th place. Obviously, Schandorf in 3rd. He's going for 2nd, so he's not actually making too many points up as an advantage over his rival here. So really, he needs to get past the Honda, and the Porsche really needs to get past Crestani for 4th place.
Ethan Simeone with traffic coming into the Alboreto Parabolica. The twin-turbo V6 Honda, the other drivers were saying it's quick in a straight line, despite that screaming V10 powering the 63 Lamborghini. Jacopo Guidetti holds off Schandorf in the dying stages of this race for the moment. The blue flags are out. Simeone crosses the line. He's 2 seconds ahead of this battle. Now Jacopo Guidetti stays to his right, to your left. He goes defensive, he flashes the lights. There is Bozzoni just ahead. He dives down the inside. Does Schandorf? He's on the outside. It becomes the inside. What a move by Frederick. Has caught and passed Jacopo Guidetti. You have to feel for the young Italian. He was snookered in traffic down into the first chicane, and Frederick Schandorf, with one almighty send, has gone through into 2nd place. What a move by Schandorf. He's in P2.
And that's a change of position in the GT Cup Open Europe as well. That was Marcio Moro, I think, getting past Bozzoni behind them. He didn't want to let him past Lambo past too easily because they were fighting for position. They're in slightly different classes. Here is a replay of the move. Dives down the inside. The Honda is forced to give him space. He gets turned around very nicely there. Does the Lamborghini, and then he's stuck behind the number 44 and the number 27. So potentially Bozzoni's actually retained his position in that battle in the GT Cup Open Europe.
Stefano Bozzoni and Mauro Marcio down through the track. They're having their own race. You can't blame them. Any closer, any further to the right, and Frederick Schandorf would have been on the grass. That was one almighty move. Frederick into 2nd place as Tyler Cook continues to defend for the lead of the Pro-Am category. Here in the penultimate round, this is race 1 of the International GT Open Championship 2021 here at Monza. Joe Osborne lines up the American Tyler Cook out of Ascari. We have raced 35 laps here at Monza over the ripple strip as Tyler Cook runs out of road, does not lift. He cannot afford to lift. That was talent right there from the young American driver Tyler Cook, but it also allowed Joe Osborne to close in on the back of him as we look at Dirk Shelton.
And they're trying to get past, but they couldn't do around the outside because that would be overtaking outside of track limits, so it doesn't allow it. He tucks in on the inside very, very nicely there. And before that, he chucks a load of dust into the front of the McLaren, which is why he essentially couldn't pass him earlier in the lap. So good defending, but the McLaren is looking at the inside of turn 1, thinks better of it. He's going to stick behind there. So that is the battle for 6th place. We've got Crestani, Alfaiz split by only 6/10 ahead of them in the battle for 4th place. 1.3 seconds between Schandorf and Guidetti for 2nd place, and further down the order as well, we've also got our GT Cup Open Europe battle, which similarly is only a second between a few of the cars battling there. And actually, Loris Spinelli is chasing Gerard Teresa at 0.4 seconds behind with 2.5 minutes to go. So lots and lots to watch right now. The order could really change in the final few minutes.
Yes, that battle between Teresa and Loris Spinelli in the background. Dirk Shelton, you can't blame him. He is actually leading the Cup class here, and he's 14th outright. Tyler Cork absolutely pushing the brake pedal through the floor. Stefano Bozzoni with damage after coming together with Jan Lauritsen earlier on in the race. He's about to see the blue flag as they race under the old banking down into the Ascari chicane. The 44 Porsche does not look real healthy. And what a sight, the headlights of the Lamborghini and the McLaren. He just simply gets out of the throttle. Look at the McLaren of Osborne, how he just hugs the ripple strip, gets the drive, gets the slipstream, tucks in behind Tyler Cook, goes down the right side of the track to the left of your screen, makes it hard for Joe Osborne. They're wheel to wheel into the Alboreto Parabolica. Now he's on the inside. Osborne hangs it around the outside. What a move by Joe Osborne. Keep it on the circuit. He just sort of does, and makes the pass to go through P6 outright and to lead the Pro-Am class. What a move by Osborne.
Yeah, he got the move done within track limits, then exceeded it, and we actually saw just ahead of them, Fabrizio Crestani was under attack from Alfaisal Al-Zubair. Kirk's going to try and reclaim the position into turn 1. Doesn't get it done. Behind them as well, Teresa was fully under pressure from Loris Spinelli, but there was a GT Cup Open car in the way of him. So that comes out, and it looks like the Lamborghini up in... So, Schandorf in second now, 2.7 seconds behind. He's not actually going faster than Simeone, and I think we're going to have one more lap after this. There's 57 seconds to go. So 2.7 seconds between our top 2 cars. Guidetti's probably safe in third because he's not closing back in on Schandorf. Crestani still has Al-Zubair all over him, but he's just at his personal best in the speed trap, so clearly he's got traffic that's helped him there. We've got Joe Osborne in 6th place, 0.4 seconds ahead of Tyler Cook. He's just made that move. Teresa only a 10th ahead of Spinelli after the first sector of the lap, so I imagine they're probably side by side as they head onto the back straight now.
So we expect them to get the last lap board this time around. Ethan Simeone has driven superbly with his teammate Martin Kodrich. We expect this to be the last lap board. There is no checkered flag. He races across the line just in time. The checkered flag was at the ready. This is the final lap of the race. We will be brave and call it now. Ethan Simeone, the Canadian, will win here at Monza. I know that's a big call. His teammate, Martin Kodrich, has driven superbly. He runs off, almost jinxed him there. He almost ran off the road at the exit of the chicane. Ethan Simeone has pulled out. He's put another 10th of a second on the charging Frederick Schandorf. Jacopo Guidetti back in 3rd place, down into the 2nd chicane for the final time. A brilliant drive from 2C's Motorsport. Schandorf, 2.6 seconds, takes a 10th out of him. There's Jacopo Guidetti, who has driven superbly. The young Italian in the top NSX Honda. They've come here 3 strong, and they're looking at coming away from race 1 with a podium. Into the Lesmo curves. Nerve-wracking stuff for Ethan Simeone, the 23-year-old North American from Canada, sharing the car with the highly rated Croatian Martin Kodrich. This is the final lap of the race down into the Ascari chicane.
This team has performed well in British GT. It's won the Golf 12 Hours this year as well, pretty much on home soil. It's a Bahraini British team, so this will, I believe, be its first win in continental Europe. It's going places, 2C's Motorsport. Only started in 2019, so really rising up the GT ranks.
Down into the Alboreto Parabolica for the final time. Martin Kodrich had a brilliant opening stint. He took the 9 Mercedes to the lead, handed over to his Canadian teammate. Ethan Simeone flashes the lights and takes the checkered flag to win race 1 here at Monza. A brilliant victory for 2C's Motorsport. Frederick Schandorf across the line in position 2 to extend his lead in the championship, and Jacopo Guidetti takes the Honda to the podium. The young Italian comes home in position 3, the battle for Pro-Am. They came oh so close, but Joe Osborne, with the speed, the experience, heads home. Tyler Cook, the American, finishes in P7, sharing the car with the Kiwi Brendan Leach. And here is the AM victor. He's about to take the checkered flag. Dirk Shelton in car 53 crosses the line to win the AM class, or the Cup class, here at Monza this afternoon. Dirk Shelton in car 53 winning a GT Cup and finishing in position 14 overall. Ethan Simeone, the Canadian, takes victory in race 1. It was a nail-biting finish as Frederick Schandorf came from a mile back, literally. At the end though, Ethan Simeone, 2.7 seconds, held his own and has won here at the Temple of Speed, which is Monza. Mercedes position 1, Lamborghini P2, and Honda position 3. We continue the variety inside the top 5 because Fabrizio Crestani has taken position 4 in the 333 Ferrari after that great opening stint by the Chilean Peñahites. And Al Faisal Al Zubair in the 77 Elecna Racing Porsche. In P5, Joe Osborne, the McLaren P6. So 6 different manufacturers, 6 different cars inside the top 6. We take a look at the results. Martin Kodrich and Ethan Simeone win race 1 of the International GTOpen Championship round, the penultimate round of the 2021 championship. Michele Beretta, Frederick Schandorf as series leaders. They extend their lead in the championship, coming home in position 2. Marco Bononomi and Jacopo Guidetti for Renault Racing Nova Race event. The Honda on the podium in position 3. Hitesh, Crestani, Alzubair, Suchek, Moss, Osborne take the victory in Pro-Am from the Kiwi and the American Brendan Leach and Tyler Cook. Then we go to Gerhard Tuareza, Jan Seifert, who did hold off Loris Spinelli, Michael Dynan in position 10. Dirk Shelton and Van Dierendonk, they win GT Cup and finish P14 overall. The DNFs, they were many, including the 3rd Vincenzo Suspiria racing Lamborghini as well. We'll see them back for race 2. This is the championship. This is what it looks like. Exactly 30 points between Schandorf and Beretta. They're on 126. Suchek 30 behind on 96. And Mulan and Namoto get nothing out of this afternoon. They stay 3rd on 81 points. Down into pit lane. And the German car wins here at the home of Italian Motorsport. An absolutely delighted Martin Kodrich races down to celebrate and congratulate his teammate Ethan Simeone. They win race 1. International GTOpen, the penultimate round of the 2021 championship.
It's the exhaust, it's fine.
Okay.
An overzealous fireman. Martin's not too worried.
The pads. What is the brakes or the engine?
A great try from Frederick Schandorf. They pitted early, they bolted on a new set of Michelin slicks. And the Great Dane was superb, drove as hard as he possibly could. Of course, they are now focusing on the championship. Race 2 tomorrow, and of course the series final, that's on October the 23rd and 24th at Barcelona in Spain. Jacopo Guidetti on the podium, the young Italian, sharing the car with Marco Bononomi. What a tremendous sight this is. Bravissimo Jacopo. Anche Marco.
Bravo Jacopo.
Fantastic to see them coming up from the Italian GT Championship to race with us in GTOpen International and be on the podium this afternoon.
Guys.
The race victors, Ethan Simeone and Martin Kodrich, have taken victory here this afternoon. Position 3, Marco Bonanomi and Jacopo Guidetti in the NSX Honda Car 18 on the final step of the podium. Brilliant drive, brilliant opening stint from Marco and from Jacopo to bring it home. They extend their lead in the championship to Michele Beretta and Frederick Schandorf with P2 here this afternoon. From Canada, in North America, Ethan Simeone has taken it to the checkered flag with his teammate Martin Kodrich, and he's down in pit lane now.
Ethan Simeone, Martin Kodrich, that was a surprise today at Monza. Martin, let's start with you. You started the race. Of course, you know GTOpen, you return, and it's a winning return.
Yeah, I mean, back where we stopped, really. Last race I raced in GTOpen was also here. We won the race, but as you said, surprise, I wouldn't say surprise. We worked really hard for this. Even in qualifying today, we were very unlucky because 2 of my new tire runs, I had the red flag, which compromises a lot, but we knew we were fast. And, you know, after the start, everything was clean, and I knew I had to push really hard to try and get us in the lead and give Ethan a car in P1. Yeah, everything went really well, and then he did an amazing job, brought it home, and, you know, I would think it's a very well-deserved victory.
It is indeed. Ethan Simeone, you are debuting in the series, so is 2C's Motorsports, and it's perfect result.
Yeah, it's a dream come true, to be honest, a dream come true. You know, we've been putting a lot of work, as Martin alluded to, a lot of preseason testing, a lot of stuff along those lines. I mean, the boys put in a lot of hard work. The car is mega. You know, Martin had a wicked first stint, and really just made it easy for me to take it home from that point on.
Well done, guys. Podium now. All the best.
Where we go for the podium?
The highlights of race 1 here at Monza. It was a relatively clean start as the Lamborghini led the field down into turn 1 until they went straight ahead. At the very first chicane, a messy start. That gave Marco Bonanomi an opportunity to go up the inside. Brendan Leach went straight ahead at the first chicane, but the Kiwi did recover, driving superbly in the Leipzig Motorsport Lamborghini to come home position 7. This was the story of the race. The second McLaren, Brendan Irie, would ultimately drag it to the checkered flag, but way down in position 15. And also, we lost car 100 of Jakub Duernicki and Jan Antoszewski, the Poles, which brought out the safety car at the restart. Martin Kodrich found a way by Marco Bonanomi to go up into second place, as Michele Beretta, who did have a lead of almost 6 seconds, dived down into pit lane. A great opening stint from the Chilean Ben Yahites, who would ultimately finish in P4. Schandorf rejoined the track after the stops in position 6 and picked them off one by one. This unfortunate incident took out what was then the leader of the Cup class, Jan Loris, and Nick van Dierendonk would ultimately go on to take the victory, as Frederick Schandorf, with a super move to go down the inside of Jacopo Guidetti in the dying stages of the race to take position 2, as Joe Osborne around the outside, a brilliant pass to take the American Tyler Cook for victory in the pro category. But out front, the Canadian Ethan Simeone with his Croatian teammate Martin Kodrich. That is now 2 victories in GTOpen International here at Monza for Martin Kodrich. P3 for Jacopo Guidetti and Marco Bonanomi. Second place, the championship leaders, Frederick Schandorf and Michele Beretta. his second victory at Monza. Welcome back to the top step. Welcome back to GTOpen International. Martin Kodrich takes the victory along with his Canadian teammate, Ethan Simeone. Mercedes, Lamborghini and Honda 1, 2, 3 here at Monza. A brilliant race, and of course we will be back tomorrow for race 2, which we do expect to be in different circumstances tomorrow. We are expecting rain for race 2, which gets underway just before 2:30 local time tomorrow afternoon. But for the moment, the 2Cs Motorsport team celebrate. Giacomo Altoer down in pit lane, congratulating his teammates, even if he did not get behind the wheel of the third VSR Lamborghini here this afternoon. So on the same podium on which Daniel stood just 13 days ago, they celebrate with the champagne here at Monza. Good afternoon's work for Frederick Schandorf and Michele Beretta. They have firmly got their eyes on the championship. They extend their lead in the series over Andy Soucek, who finished in P5 with the Omani. Now Faisal Al-Zubair in P5. And we'll go on to the Pro-Am podium in just a moment. The drivers in Pro-Am also finishing 6th, 7th and 8th outright here this afternoon. Marcus Pavaru to the right of your screen, who has finished 12th here this afternoon in car 11, next to his teammate Jens Renaud Mola, who had a good start, a good opening stint from Jens Renaud Mola in the 11 Honda, ultimately coming home in P12, ahead of their new teammate for this weekend, Luca Magnoni and Alberto Lippi in car 57, who finished in 13. The podium for the Pro-Am category here at Monza. In third place for HP Racing International, Jan Seifert and Gerhard Tweresa. Second place on debut in GTOpen International, the New Zealander Brendan Leach and the American Tyler Cook for Leipert Motorsport. And Nick Moss and Joe Osborne take the victory with that super move in the dying stages for the McLaren team. The Pro-Am podium following the Open podium here. This has been a fantastic afternoon's racing here at Monza. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow at 2:30 local time. Race 2, the penultimate round of the GTOpen International Championship. On behalf of all the team, thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow for race 2.
Ed ora il meritato festeggiamento con lo champagne come vuole la tradizione.
Io ho sparato con la pistola, ho sparato con la pistola. L'ho fatto io. C'è stata una polverata. Dove? No, ma lo faceva, io ho visto che c'era. Ho messo 1.07, ho detto 1.7. Ah, classita, no, classita. Ho girato tutto il sabbio. Io ho sentito per ha detto more or less 47.
Lashik and Lizalski take position 3. Dumace and Mace in the cup class. Pizzoni and Bozzoni in car 44. Do Eugenio and Stefano. The winner of the cup class here this afternoon, Dirk Shelton, who takes the victory for the Netherlands along with his Belgian teammate Nick van Dierendonk in car 53 for Q1 by EMG Motorsport. Fernando Fortes third in Cup M, Glauco Solieri second in Cup M, of course, as well. Thanks for joining us, the GT Cup Open Podium. We'll see you back here tomorrow for race 2, the penultimate round of the 2021 GT International Championship from Monza. See you tomorrow afternoon.